Perfect. Well,
Perfecto.
it is episode 68 of Inane Blather. Welcome to Inane Blather, where the blather is inane, and our inanity is blathering. I don't know. Anyway,
as they say.
Yeah. If you want to listen to some unresearched whining and complaining,
you are in the right place.
Yeah, beating around the bush by accident and wandering past the point
with no like actionable items or anything like that.
Yes. Then you're probably just listening to a bunch of
headstrong, stubborn, quibbling, self-centered, vindictive, obnoxious, hormonal, sexually preoccupied, evil, thieving, cross-dressing jerks.
So, I hope everyone enjoyed our last one with Zach. That was nice. I wish I could have uploaded it earlier, but I had quite a week, man.
Quite a week.
I had someone living in my studio, for one thing.
Oh,
and
wow.
I didn't want to bother them. But, it was the week from hell. But I don't want to just complain about how much I hate my job right now and how every waking moment is a living nightmare. Every 9-hour day that I go, and that I just want to burn down the building and everyone in it. Anyway, how's work been now that you're back?
Actually, I've had like a really, really good week at work. Today we work Wednesday through Tuesday is our like schedule. So today was like the Friday of our week. If
That's
that makes sense.
-1 days. Okay.
But,
cool.
So yeah, I really had a good week. I've been feeling really good about my canvassing and talking to people, and something actually we've been talking about lately. I said I was going to bring up. I'm just going to jump right into it if you don't mind, because it kind of goes hand in hand.
Yeah.
Something we've been talking about at work. A new pitch that we've been doing is the Background Check
Knuckleball.
Expansion Act.
Oh.
Yeah. That
it's
too.
very
though.
difficult, but we can do it.
Yeah. Bend over and I'll show you. But
Boring. Been there.
So the Background Check Expansion Act is pretty much what
for gun control.
It's for
okay.
a reduction of gun violence, and what it would do is require, like online sales, gun show sales, all the gun sales to require a background check, which is,
Can you
takes
buy
like 2
guns
minutes
online?
to do. Yeah, and like almost 50% of them are done without a background check and all this kind of crap. Yeah, I know. And, we all know that there is a reduction. There is always a reduction in gun violence rates when universal background checks are in place, especially towards women by their partners. Like every 16 hours in America, a woman is shot and killed by a partner, like in a domestic violence situation. We actually know, this is like kind of an issue. Comes up a lot at work for me. Our sister's best friend in college, little Wendy, when she was 25, she was murdered by a former partner. She was shot and killed. She's like one of those statistics that it really, really, really does happen. And we know most Americans support, background checks. Gun owners support it because they're the ones saying that it's not guns, it's people, that kill people. Though the first guy I talked to today, I wish I could have recorded that. I was straight spitting I was like, hey, I'm here to talk about our campaign to end gun violence, and his response was, I like guns. And I was like, hey, that's all right. You don't like gun violence, do you? You don't like that the number one cause of death for children is gun violence here in America. Nobody likes that. And he's like, no, he was really like a libertarian white guy, smug bro, that really was like, well, why is that? And like really, just asking some questions, like trying to get me, that.
He's trying to facts and logic you, huh?
Oh man, I was so proud of myself. It was like my first. He didn't get, excuse me, he didn't get signed up or anything. But I know I walked away from that conversation. It was like a good vibe where I gave him some stuff to think about it. Yeah. So that was nice because last weekend I was out in Seattle, and was out with some people. We were standing outside smoking or whatever on the sidewalk outside the bar that we'd been in, and across the street there was a fight, like a fight. Like people, these two guys, like with people being like, kick his ass, really like beating the shit, like shoving up against the car,
scary.
kicking and all this. It is scary. It was like, well, what do we do? Like, I'm not going to call the cops and get someone killed, and so it's like,
yeah,
we're just
call
kind
the Seattle Police Department.
Yeah, they'll do a great job.
That'll de-escalate violence.
Exactly. So we just stood there feeling helpless. And then it was like, I was saying like how helpless is like, we can't do anything, and there's all these guns in America. Luckily, that's just like this fight, whatever. And it kind of broke apart, but it was still very volatile. People shouting across the street and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And then we're standing there kind of talking, and it was like, oh shit, no, that guy does have a gun right across the street. He just pulled out his handgun.
Yeah.
So it was like, fuck. So we just like went inside, and it's like, legit, I know that especially certain communities in the United States obviously deal with this so much more than some like middle-class white girl. But just in that moment, it was so incredibly clear what a fucking failure our government is. Standing there, you have no recourse. Someone is maybe going to get shot either by the police or by someone with a gun. One of us, stray bullets, just randomly, you're out on a Saturday night having fun with your friends, patronizing these businesses, doing karaoke, and the gun didn't go off or anything like that, but only because it wasn't pulled out in time, or whatever. It's like, there is nothing you can do but run and hide. That's what you do here in America. Or you know what you do? You get yourself a fucking gun. That's why there's 400 million guns in the United States, because people feel so unsafe. And you know why? Because it is unsafe. The number one cause of death for people under the age of 19 is gun violence, and we're not doing shit about it. You can't do anything. You go break up a fight with what? Your own gun? Start waving it around? You just have people waving guns like the Wild fucking West? Like, you just stand there completely helpless, or you call the cops. Maybe someone gets killed, maybe a cop gets killed. Maybe they kill someone. Maybe someone passing by gets caught up in like some firefight. Like, legitimately, that's what happens. And we just live with it. We just live every single day under the threat of constant gun violence. You and I both know someone who was straight up murdered while working at Fred Meyer's, like just doing their job. It is just astounding to me. Then going, and having watched part of like the, Republican debate and all this kind of stuff, and I just want to scream in their faces, like, what the fuck are you guys talking about? I don't give a fuck about TikTok. I don't give a shit about China and all this stuff. Literally, there are at least like 6 children every single day who die from the bullet wounds in their little bodies. Yeah. That's what the world that we live in right now. What the fuck are you guys doing? Like, at all. Like, at all. What are you doing? Even the most broadly supported thing, background check expansion, everyone doing a background check, it's like 80% support, which is wild in America. We can't even do that when it's literally like 200 and some million people on the same page. We can't even get that done. And it will help. It does always help having universal background checks, and we can't even do that.
If you have a gun, generally, most people want it. And if you like guns or whatever it might be, it's like, it's not going to hurt you. That's why people are in favor of it. Yeah, it's like you were saying. Just the failure of governmental action or lack of it. Because when your first thoughts are like, well, what do you do? What do you do? Like, how do you protect yourself? It's like,
how do you help?
That feeling, that inevitable personal arms race that develops from that feeling is just emblematic of the failures of our system, right? Because you aren't protected by anyone. You have to, it's America, it's individualistic or whatever. It's like, yeah, but if the only, almost logical conclusion that you jump to at some point is like, I guess I should have a gun. It's like this. Yeah. That means that that things aren't going well. If that's like, well, honestly, I guess I need a gun
yourself like it's
so I
Mad
can
Max.
so I can feel safe. I need to put myself in much more danger so that I can feel more safe.
And everyone else around me.
Yeah. It's like, oh my God.
What a gigantic failure of these stupid fucking losers in charge. Like, and we also watched, you've probably seen the movie Arrival with Amy Adams, like with the aliens that come.
She's like the linguist or something.
Yeah.
I haven't seen
So it's interesting, like learning how to communicate and like what we would do. And I was sitting there, I was like, Oh my
Boring.
God.
No, I'm just
These
kidding.
bozos in charge trying to like do something for like, imagine it was like Trump, what a joke. Like Joe Biden totally asleep at the wheel. Like
Yeah.
what? What's going on, Jack?
Go out there, talk to the aliens.
Like what the fuck do you guys even know about anything? Like you guys they're so incompetent, like legitimate, like bumbling morons who don't know how to do anything for people to help people, like have no just concept of like actually
Well, it looks like those clowns in
looking
Congress
out
are at it
for-
again. What a bunch of clowns. How does he keep up with the
man.
news like that?
It just is like, this is the leadership that we can come to rely. These are the people whose, like, my life, my family, every single person I know, our lives are in their hands.
Ugh.
Oh
politics.
boy.
Yeah, exactly.
Kamala
Oh,
Harris,
no.
once Joe Biden has a heart attack because of the aliens landing, Kamala Harris is going to be the leader in this.
Yeah.
And then otherwise the Pentagon? Oh my God.
You know what I talked to them about? Tupac.
And the hot sauce in my purse.
That was Hillary. Oh, I think she said it
that's
though
right.
too. And it's like, but
I
Hillary
don't
was the one who
remember.
did
Something cringe like
Yeah.
that.
Bruh.
that. Oh boy,
It's very cringe when you do that.
Kamala.
Yeah, I just find the government to be like completely like lacking in self-awareness, I guess is what it is. Like it's really weird to have these people
No,
out
it's
there
working
like
perfectly fine for what it's set up to
Them.
do. It's
Yeah.
late stage neoliberal hell. You know, I mean, it's still, despite these things, these obvious wrongs that have yet to be righted in society, like everyone wants and needs, and somehow through the so-called democratic process still
If it can so
doesn't
be called.
happen. Yeah, if it can so be called.
Democracy simply doesn't work.
But it's like, I mean, stock line go up, landlords get
true.
richer,
True dat.
people make money. I mean, for the people that actually have the built-in capacity to change any of this stuff, nothing needs to be changed. They don't care. Like,
Yeah,
I mean, it is set
definitely
up
not
so
for
that
them.
they shouldn't, or that they'll care about it not changing. You know,
Yeah.
it's like, you know, that's why.
I just don't know. Like,
That's why
and
people
also I sent you.
revolt. It's
I sent you a
revolting.
message yesterday about some guy who just pissed me off, like because he had his daughter with him. And
Oh, I
it
didn't
was
finish
like,
listening to that.
It's okay. It doesn't. It was just like so condescending. Like, yeah, maybe come back when I don't have my 5-year-old daughter here. And it's like,
Okay.
yeah, I just told you it's the
When?
#1 cause of death for youth in America, and I don't know if you knew, but your daughter is a youth, and
Yeah,
so
and
like
you're
maybe
in America?
you could like extend some compassion. Maybe it's not gonna. I mean, obviously, I don't want it to happen to anybody's kids, but you can imagine that if it is the #1 cause of death for kids, that means other parents have had children die from being shot with a gun, and you're like, I don't want to hear about that. And also, if you think your 5-year-old doesn't know about gun violence, I don't know if you knew, but if they go to an American
Yeah.
school, there are lockdown drills from the time they're in fucking kindergarten.
Yeah.
And so
And
you
they'll
want to be
cry
condescending to me
and be
out here
scared.
trying to like make a difference and actually do something to help your fucking daughter, and you want to be all like, get off my porch pretty much, and like it's so rude of me to be there trying to talk to him about it. That was totally the attitude. And another guy yesterday was
You're like, fine, well,
I'll cut your throat. I'll come to your house and kill your children.
another guy was like, I was like, oh yeah, I'm with Amnesty International, you know, here to talk about our campaign to end gun violence. And he was like, nope, not gonna happen. And I was like, what? Gun violence isn't? What do you mean? I mean, I know what he means,
Yeah,
but
but
like, he's not going to
still.
talk to me. But he's like, no, it happens every day, but I'm not about to step out on my front porch and talk about it. And then like just shut the door.
All right,
and it's
well-
like, yeah, well,
and then so you just go for the handle. You're like, oh, I thought that meant you were letting me in.
yeah. Or like, I'll come around back. Or
Yeah.
is that cool? Yeah.
Oh,
and this huge house
Because
with
you'd feel
all these
so
lights lit up.
You would feel so rude to not bring me in and offer me tea if we were talking about this. That's
yeah, because you know
why.
that I'm out here to like try to like save people's lives and like, you know, like at least do something about this huge problem that we have.
No,
You say
they
gun
think
violence
you're
is
just
happening every
raising
day.
money for George Soros.
Yeah, pretty much. And that's what that first guy today, that libertarian bro, I was like, that's what I love about Amnesty. You know, we're a grassroots organization because Joe Biden is not doing a good job. I don't want to put my life in his hands. You know, like I'm right there with you. You know, like
It would break
trying to
all of
tell
his fingers.
moron like right wingers that it's like we have so much more in common than you think. Like none of us are happy with the situation right now. If anyone's happy with Joe Biden,
yeah, exactly.
They have a really low bar.
Then they're just a neo-lib idiot. No, or they're just like a normal
thinking, at least
American.
he's not Trump. Yeah,
exactly.
For sure.
So I don't want to keep talking shit about those people, but it is unfortunate. No. It's like...
It's unfortunate that your standards are so fucking low that you could be happy with Joe Biden who doesn't do anything.
Exactly.
You should want more, so much more from our representatives. They should be such incredible leaders. They should be people out here with like passion and, you know, facts and like really looking out for people giving these impassioned speeches where you actually feel like you're giving a shit about the American people instead of like legitimately all of this just bullshit back and forth to each other. It's like, I don't give a shit about you guys. You guys are just placeholders supposedly for like our ideals.
Yes.
I don't care about you as individuals, like genuinely. I don't give a shit. I wish we didn't know any of your names, frankly. That it was just like governor, Senator 1, Senator 2.
Yeah, exactly. It should be like Washington Representative District 12. That's it, you know.
You wear, you know, have you seen the Community where they're the human beings?
Oh,
That's
you
their,
told me about that.
mascot.
No.
And he's like horrifyingly like neutral. Like he just has no features. He's like in an all like.
You're like, will you vote yes on this gun control bill?
Yeah.
It says all I know is my gut says maybe.
Yeah, it's a. People
I
just.
wish I could believe her.
Sorry, I was trying to find it.
That.
Yeah,
No,
it's really
it's just-
frustrating. Really frustrating. Really frustrating.
Yeah. Really, to say the least. Yeah. Just looking here.
Well,
at,
that's why I've been
the news of
enjoying
the day.
reading. You know, because I'm not a fucking nerd. You know, I don't read. But you know what I read?
I don't know about that.
Twitter. All right.
Yeah.
But
okay. Yeah.
yeah.
You don't
Generally,
read
it's
them.
like, you know what I read when I actually read? Fucking fiction. But sometimes not. I was just picking through here and there and finally reading some Lenin, and yeah, I just didn't realize that the State and Revolution had so much devoted to talking about
Uh,
democracy and how it simply doesn't work. No,
That's what I was thinking earlier.
the limits or, you know, the necessities of it and stuff like that. It's just like it just all goes back to that for me. All right, you know, I can be a milquetoast Democratic Socialist or whatever, or or you know, have anarchistic ideals or not. It's just all about democracy, man. Like, come on, just give people a fucking voice and let that voice have impact on society. Society, you know,
Because we live in a society.
yeah, exactly. And let's see. And as was said, I don't remember where it was. Darn. And as Engels says, the state in no way constitutes a force imposed on society from outside, nor is the state the reality of the moral idea, the image and reality of reason. The state is the product of society at a certain stage of its development. The state is tantamount to an acknowledgement that the given society has become entangled in an insoluble contradiction with itself, that it has broken up into irreconcilable antagonisms of which it is powerless to rid itself. And I'm not just going to keep reading this.
Yeah. Just like the rest of the time. Yeah.
They're like, yeah, they got 20 minutes in and just read the State and Revolution for 40 minutes. It was really boring. But
All right.
But some people are like,
This is lit. This is absolutely lit.
but you read Lenin, and that's when you really realize.
Anarchists should not be allowed to have children.
So true.
But yeah, just so many times, no matter what side of the so-called aisle you are, if it can so be called, in America, no matter what, like, the problems all come back to they just don't represent us. Not just me, but just us. It's like, Why doesn't this shit get done? How come this shit doesn't get done, man? Come on.
That's what I use at work all the time. I'm like, I'm out here because what Amnesty does is forces your representatives to represent you, because I wouldn't be here if they were. It would be one thing if I lived in a country that, if I was an outlier, like with reproductive rights, if I lived in a country where people just, well, we do hate women, but hated women that much. Like, really, we're like, no, women should not have, if it's like straight up Handmaid's Tale and I'm just like some outlier that's like believes in bodily autonomy, that's
like
one
Saudi
thing.
Arabia.
But I do not live in a place like that.
Yeah.
We do not live in a place like that. We live in a place with majority support for a lot of these, like, quote unquote, left-wing issues. When it comes down to it, when people get direct voting on these issues rather than voting for people to represent them, you get to hear our voices, and what they say are, you know, we want reproductive rights. We'd like some common sense gun control. Something being done about this. When you ask the people directly,
we want to get rid of daylight savings time. It's easy.
We want some fucking health care.
We want to deschedule marijuana. That's easy.
Yes.
Just
I know all this stuff that people actually agree on. It's so much less divided than it would seem. It's really divisive because of the politicians. They make it divisive. They are not trying to see what things we have in common. They're trying to make it so we have less in common.
Imagine if
when
all
in
the
fact,
common
we
sense
could all
stuff
just benefit.
it would get taken care of. You know, I mean, still, of course, it always needs to be proactive, and you need vigilance or whatever. But all these basic things that we commonly share are taken care of. And imagine if the political discussions among people arguing or debating and stuff actually had to do with, like, oh, the rights to private property, or, you know, the end stage of capitalism, or, you know, the basic tenets of blah, blah, blah. Like, it would be like, if we just had health care and good education,
$15
and stuff,
an hour minimum wage.
and good wages, and get the housing crisis under control, and public transportation. If we had all these basics, it'd be like a fucking salon on every corner, you know, and instead of like people pulling guns on each other and drinking themselves to death and dying of opiate overdoses,
Killing
because
themselves.
what else are you gonna do, you know? It's like, man, oh man.
Like, a bunch of this gun violence, like the majority of these gunshot wounds are self-inflicted. That's what we're dealing with.
Man.
Like in the United States, guns.
So that,
like,
I mean, not only do we need
violence,
control, but people need to figure out their aim. Big time. Like,
yeah, what the fuck? Yeah,
like,
you point the
geez,
gun away
we've got all
from
these
you.
guns in America, and nobody knows how to shoot them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
We can
no.
joke like that because we've been suicidal. So,
Yeah.
you know.
So, yeah.
Sex to suck, all you well-adjusted losers.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm sure we've got tons of well-adjusted listeners.
Yeah, that's why people listen to this show. Yeah.
So
I am just scrolling, of course, the New York Post, which I also
I got
want
something
to
else.
say.
I got something.
But I want to say that it is weird, this entire article, every single sentence is a different paragraph.
Oh, is it? Why do they do that? All these
I don't know,
writers
it's Michael
at the New
Goodwin,
York Post.
But it's really dumb. It's really
I guess it must
poorly.
be their editor or something.
I hate it. It looks
Mental
so
illness is when
incredibly
you're right-wing.
childish. But they're just talking about crime and whatever crap and immigrants and stuff in New York City. And then one of these comments on here was like,
They're criminals and rapists.
Okay.
is like, I hope that, I don't even care anymore. I want the illegals to bring crime to massive new heights and destroy the Democrats, especially on Park Avenue and Billionaires Row. That's my only Christmas wish. And it's like,
Okay.
dude, okay, so you think that all these
Why don't you just have like
billionaires are
regular
what,
people do that?
Democrats?
What do you mean
Yeah,
by
also it's like-
destroy? Because if you mean literally do it, like, how about we just do that?
Do it.
I guess you've got a
Yeah.
real revolutionary spirit there, my man. Like,
Also, these billionaires, it's like, I guess they can say they're Democrats and they can vote Democrat, but it's not like they're like,
well, Democrats are just
Billionaires-
neo-lib idiots. None of them
yeah, but a lot of billionaires vote right wing.
said no Democrat ever.
Yeah, it's just really interesting that they think that all the people that are voting for Democrats are like all these really, really rich people. It's like, I mean, some of them for sure, but a lot of those are like right wingers, right? You know, like
Oh yeah.
you know, Trump is like the head. He's from New York City, and he was like the head of the GOP. So I'm not sure.
Yeah. So I one of the I don't know. Even like someone was like, "Wow, she's so progressive." It's like Elizabeth Warren. She used to be a Republican. You know, she just happens to want to
definitely a
tax rich
capitalist.
people more, and suddenly she has to be some progressive. It's like, what? She's just some fucking white lady. She's Native American,
she is.
whatever, you know, but
Yeah, as Trump so nicely pointed out.
so as little change of pace, so I had something I really thought of you. I mean, I thought of Inane Blather.
Oh wait, I want to take wait. This last comment.
Oh yeah.
Cities with African American mayors, season 2, in parentheses, easier to bribe.
Whoa.
Nice. Yeah.
What are you
Nice.
talking? Are you not keeping up with the news? What is Menendez? Is he black? I don't think so. The dude had literally, that's a Democrat that just got
Also,
indicted.
I don't know if you-
and he had golden bars hidden in like under his bed or something like that.
Literally, the head of the GOP is on trial for like fraud
Yes.
right now.
Yeah, true. Yeah,
And he's
easier
not
to
black,
bribe.
he's orange.
And it's
Yeah.
like, it's like that Trump drop from R.M. Brown.
Just really weird. I love the comment sections. They're so incredibly ignorant. It's amazing how stupid people are.
Oh, yeah.
But anyways, okay.
It's beautiful. That's where democracy simply doesn't work. But, and I was going to get into that with education and mob rule, but nobody cares. Before I open up this article, I did write in here, fuck, marry, kill, Ben Shapiro, Steven Crowder, Jordan Peterson.
I would marry Ben Shapiro.
Oh, okay.
I would kill Steven Crowder. For sure, without a doubt. And I would fuck some sense into Jordan Peterson, and I would show him what he's been missing his whole life. And it would probably
I don't
change
think
him.
Jordan Peterson has had an erection in like 12 years. That guy is so whacked out.
And I'm probably too fat, honestly, for his taste. He'd
He's
just be like, sorry, not beautiful, you big fat ass.
And you start slapping him
Yeah.
around. You're like, oh, suddenly he's got an erection for the first time in 12 years.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I feel like I could really bring it to Jordan Peterson, and I feel like I could change his mind. And Ben Shapiro, I could just help him realize that he's a little fancy boy.
That's why
You know,
I fucked
if I
Ben Shapiro. I think we both...
Yeah, you would fuck Ben Shapiro.
I marry Jordan Peterson because he's not long for
And
this
we
world.
we both take turns murdering Steven
Yeah,
Crowder.
and exactly.
Because fuck that guy.
And no one wants to
Yeah.
fuck or marry Steven Crowder. And he's
God.
eligible now.
Oh my god, I'm just imagining having sex with Steven Crowder, and it literally made me almost like
Especially now.
cringe, unstoppable cringe.
It literally, I was actually legitimately pissed off when I saw Steven Crowder and his goddamn mustache now. Just a mustache.
What?
I was like, fuck off. I'm going to have to go shave this thing. Fuck you.
I'm looking at it. No, keep your mustache. Let me check it out. Steven Crowder, images.
I don't know if it was just, it seemed new to me, but I was in one of his ads.
He usually has a beard.
Yeah. Yep. I also wrote human pyramid scheme. I don't know where I was going with that. But this is interesting. I don't know if you saw this. This is just from like a couple weeks ago. Headline: The end of privacy is a Taylor Swift fan TikTok account armed with facial recognition tech. And a viral account is using off-the-shelf facial recognition tech to dox random people on the internet for the amusement of millions of viewers. One victim said they, quote, felt a bit violated, really. Yeah, really?
Oh, did you? Yeah.
I mean, and there's this conversation about, like, I don't know. There's this conversation of, hey, you're on the internet, it's in public. What's on the internet's forever. You put your face on the internet, it's going to be out there. But it's like,
Sure.
But I mean, come on. I mean,
going out of your way to do it.
Yeah, it's like
I
I don't know about that. We're all on the internet. You have to go out of your way to to stay off of the internet. Yeah. And like, I mean, you don't have to be on TikTok, but you know what? 1 billion people are. So,
Sure.
And even if you're not on TikTok, you might end up in a TikTok, just from being in public. And you can say, well, there's no reasonable expectation of privacy in public or not, but it's like, there's a line. There is a line. I'm talking about a line in the sand, and over this line, you do not. Whatever it was from The Big Lebowski, but yeah. Viral TikTok account is doxing ordinary and otherwise anonymous people on the internet using off-the-shelf facial recognition technology, creating content and growing a following by taking advantage of a fundamental new truth. Privacy is now essentially dead in public spaces. The 90,000 follower strong account, although I don't think that's a lot for a big TikTok account, but still, I mean, it's 90,000 people.
90,000.
It's more than we've got. But typically picks targets who appeared in other viral videos or people suggested to the account in the comments. People in the comments will be like, hey, find this guy, and link like a TikTok or something. Many of the account's videos show the process, screenshotting the video of the target, cropping images of their face, running those photos through facial recognition software, and then revealing the person's full name, social media profile, and sometimes employer to millions of people who have liked the videos. There's an entire branch of content on TikTok in which creators show off their OSINT, O-S-I-N-T, doxing skills, OSINT being open source intelligence or information that is openly available online. Oh, what the fuck? I read this whole article before, but now it says it's for members only. God dang it. Oh. But yeah, I mean... you
have to read it with your penis. It's for members only.
Yeah, it's for gold member.
Your one-eyed trouser snake.
Man, it's like, so there are people who do this and show off this technology, but the vast majority of them do it with the explicit consent of the target. Like, people will be like, find me, find out who I am, or something like that, And then they use different softwares and try to figure out who you are. Like, interesting, although scary. But it's
whatever.
like...
You're literally asking for it.
But this account, and it's some fucking Swiftie. It's like,
to me, that's like, there's no reasonable expectation. It's like, I guess if
everyone's unreasonable,
if you accept that there is no reasonable expectation and there's literally, that means it's no longer immoral to do that, I guess you can do that. But also, you don't actually have to.
Yeah.
You don't actually have to contribute to this problem. And also, I remember learning when I was a child, treat people like how you'd like to be treated. So do you want that? Do you want people to be able to dox you and find you and tell your employer what a piece of shit you are or whatever?
Or just make shit up because you're on the internet.
Exactly.
And you are enjoying the anonymity of not having been found out by this exact same thing. Or the anonymity of you don't have an employer anyway. It's like,
I just don't really get, it's like, what is the people asking for it, whatever, that's one thing, but just to do it, what is your goal? Just to prove a point that there's no privacy? Because you doing that is what's making it happen. You don't have to.
Yeah.
You can help people keep their privacy by you specifically not doing that.
Yes.
So don't.
Yeah.
It's very easy.
You're purposefully doing this self-fulfilling, not prophecy, but it's just well, I do it because, might as well. There's no reasonable expectation of privacy. It's like, no, there's no reasonable expectation because people like you do what you do because you say there's no reasonable expectation of privacy.
You're the one saying it, and I'm saying I feel like we can have a reasonable expectation, don't film me in public, don't try to dox me, don't go out of your way, literally, to do things like this. Also, to all these people, get a fucking life. Yes. Get a real hobby. Do something that's satisfying. Read a fucking book.
Yeah.
Go for a walk. Get a kitten or something. Do something to fill your time so you're not just such a, honestly, a pathetic loser. Genuinely, if you're trying to dox people, there is really no justification for that other than that you're trying to be cruel or antagonistic or like trying to make people's lives harder.
Yeah,
there is
for
no reason
internet
to
clout.
do that.
I mean, that's a hell of
if you're
a
doing
drug.
it for yourself, I guess, and it's,
For some
I
people.
guess at that point
I perfectly enjoy my level of non-clout havingness on the internet.
I liked having 4,000 upvotes on Reddit or whatever, but it didn't make me hungry for the spotlight or desperate for other people's approval. And also, that's another reason: get some hobbies with some like-minded people, so you don't need the internet to validate you by doing some stupid bullshit that only like legitimate in my opinion, I don't know, sociopaths would approve of.
The only time
what you're doing.
I don't know how people that and they, people that just post that have all these followers. I mean, I can understand it'd be fun and these people are funny or whatever it is, but
if people are
taking
asking
care
for it,
of
that's kind of a funny,
taking
cool
care
thing,
of just
but
a following and an online presence, it's like once I've had a tweet that went over 10,000 likes, and it was just annoying. It's like, God, can I use Twitter anymore? Like, Jesus Christ. And that's just one comment. Like, ugh.
And I get that people are like trying to make a living or whatever and all that. There's no ethical whatever. Ethics, whatever. But I guess, you do you could do something else. You could literally do something else. Some people
You could literally be one of those NPC
families.
streamers, and I would feel better about that. And that's horrible.
Honestly, people have families. If I got doxxed here and something happened to Kelsey or Vanita, I would end up in prison.
Yeah.
It would be, it's so incredibly, some people have children. People
they
you're
don't.
doxing them.
I don't.
This is their life.
I'm on the internet right now. I don't have children.
Yeah. They have their home. You're going to make it so people know where they live. There's literally, because of you and your desperate need for approval because your mom didn't say I love you enough, people aren't safe because particularly because of those specific people. This is not a systemic issue, I think. These are individuals choosing to do shitty things. And I understand the systemic issue of capitalism, and the lack of morals and ethics that goes along with it, because you know what? It's just business. But I feel like there is no justification for these kind of people engaging in that kind of behavior. It's so incredibly beyond selfish. It's how would you like it if your mom got doxxed and some right-wing fucking nut job showed up at her house?
Yeah, which
that
happens
stuff
to people.
Happens.
Yeah.
People get death threats. It's not a joke. Even if nothing physical happens, imagine your phone's blowing up all the time. People being you stupid bitch. You should kill yourself and all this kind of stuff. Is that what you want for literally anybody besides Mitch McConnell?
Well, that's what I was saying.
Matt
Where do
Gaetz?
you draw the
Yeah.
line? Are you okay with
people in power?
with Matt Walsh getting doxxed?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because he has a
4
platform
children.
and he has power and he is sucks for his kids, because you know what? He is a genuine. He's a Nazi. Him specifically,
exactly.
Whatever. He is putting himself out there with the intention of being cruel to other people. There is a difference. And if people
Doing harm.
want to weigh these things, it's every single situation, there is nuance to it. Can't paint with a broad brush and all this kind of stuff. But I think that people in power, they do have a lot more of a responsibility, and they are putting themselves out there. And if you're actively being a transphobic, racist, sexist, Nazi
like you're
piece
saying,
of shit,
doxing
then
affects the family. That's why if you want to go by objectively, Matt Walsh does harm to society, you still don't want to dox him, because
but except for
there's
all
peripheral.
that he would have to do
that's why.
No.
Yeah, you just
He would just have to shut the fuck up. He just has to shut the fuck up. He is bringing this on himself. Other people online are not saying transphobic people need to be eradicated from this earth. Matt Walsh could shut his pedophilic mouth, and that's it. That would be the end of it. He could shut the fuck up and people would leave him alone.
You're
Other
not
people
letting me
online,
finish.
that's not the same.
Said you still don't dox him. You just wait till he's in public, which he does. Just do it in public. I'm going to say, if you want to enact stochastic terrorism upon people that genuinely, quote unquote, deserve it, or that, if some sort of ends justify the means, still doxing is still bad, because those children didn't choose to have Matt Walsh as their father, and
Well, you know what I say? Oil executives, they're up for grabs. Their houses, bomb them.
Yeah.
Their kids are inside. Maybe you shouldn't have been such a huge piece of shit. I mean, that's like, other people online are not out here literally ruining people's lives. Matt Walsh, oil executives, these people do kill people with their words and their actions.
Sure.
And, normalizing transphobia, misogyny, all these things, it does kill women. It does kill trans people. Oil executives, don't even get me started on climate change. I mean, come on. So, innocence in that, it's like all these guys had to do was something a little bit better. They're making the choices to put their families in danger by genuinely being the biggest pieces of shit possible. And, yeah, I don't want any children to get hurt. Of course, every single person, nobody ever had a choice to be born, but I feel like it's a lot different, when you're out there, putting it out there, making people hate you, getting the feedback that you're doing something wrong, digging your heels in and going even farther on it. Genuinely, like saying really disgusting things. All these oil executives, just causing, hundreds of millions of people will be displaced. All these refugees, people are dying all over the place because of climate change, related
stuff that their companies have known about for 4 decades.
And they have actively chosen to do nothing about it. So there are people where it's like, do I think you should go out of your way to kill Matt Walsh's children? No, obviously.
I would
never say that. I would say do as little harm as possible, but also some of these people, specific individuals, are a huge part of the problem. And you know what? They can be held to account by some way. I don't know, whatever. I would never kill somebody.
Yeah. I was going to say, you don't want to kill Matt Walsh anyway, but you're not going to be sad if he dies.
I would love to scream at him in front of his children and tell them, your dad is a huge piece of shit.
Yeah.
Your dad is a huge piece of shit. He hates women.
Don't be like your dad.
He hates people that don't be anything like your dad. And I want to plant that seed that they should not look up to a person like that. And if they do, you know what they'll become? Just like him. And it'll be another life lost to hatred and cruelty. And it's because nobody gets to point it out because it's their dad. People like that with their kids and their dad and whatever. It's like, no, someone should be telling these kids, this is not a role model. He is a monster. He is an actual monster. Like a pedophile. I don't even think he should have kids. Yeah. Like he shouldn't even be able to be allowed. All these kids coming over to his house, like play parties or whatever, when he's talking about lowering the age of consent.
Yeah.
Fucking gross. I can't even believe that he's had sex enough times to even have children. That's so.
Well, Natalie, he's a particularly virile man. As you
if you added him to the fuck, marry, kill for sure. If it was between him and Steven Crowder,
jailable. Throw him in jail right now.
There is no answer. Jailable. You know what? Fuck, marry, kill with those two, I would just kill myself.
It's like
and they can marry each other.
It's like the picture of the 3 people at a table with 2 apples, and it's like you have a knife and you get to use one cut of the knife to split these apples evenly, or something. It's like, what do you do? And it's like, well, just kind of side eye. You just stab one of the people.
Yeah, easy.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, yeah, if you're in a room with the 2 of them and 1 bullet, you just end it. Anyway.
I love Karl Marx.
Yeah, some tangent about Matt Walsh. Oh, because we were talking about doxing.
Fuck that guy.
And yeah, I mean,
Fuck
it's just,
that guy.
I don't know. It's just, the internet sucks. Like, why isn't the internet fun
100%.
Anymore? Like, now the internet is...
What is fun?
Just dangerous. I mean, it was always dangerous, but... It's just like legit,
but like in a fun
scary
way.
Hell. And when it's not, you're using it for work. Like, what the fuck? Like, I used to go to like just a website where someone would write funny stuff on their blog, and it would have little animated things, and it would play some music, and
strong bad.
You'd read, the greatest page in the universe or something. But
Maddox.
yeah, that guy turned out to be a real piece of fucking work.
Right wing. Nice. Nice.
But
Typical.
it's just, what have we done?
What have I done? I would have done a better Zoidberg impression if I didn't have a huge vape cloud in my mouth.
I think you needed a bigger vape cloud to make it a better impression. So let's see here. So you've been
what I say?
sliving.
CPS should take Matt Walsh's kids away from him.
Yeah, that's what you
That's my
do
stance.
instead of doxing. Is you just. I was going to say that earlier. So it's like, if only it worked most of the time, because some people just don't have the self-awareness to understand what it means when your children have cut off contact with you. Like, you did wrong.
Piece of shit.
No, I mean, either in helping guide your child to the position that they're in, which could be pretty unfortunate, and you're not necessarily a bad guy, but you didn't help enough. Like, you need to help your child, or
if you
it's because you can't be helped. Like, you're a dumbass. Like, you don't understand that it's so bad that, the love has become conditional. Like, I just don't get it. It's look what the Democrats have done to my kid. Now they won't even talk to me. When you read that, it's like, how do you get to this point? But I was going to say, I mean, it's that sort of outcome that if only it can make some people actually reflect at some point. Once they do realize that they're mad all the time and none of their friends talk to them anymore, or their kids have cut off contact, it's like, what have I done? But
the thing about doxing
that's
people
why
on the right
left,
wing, though, is
we're
that
about destroying the family.
destroying the men in the family. But the people on the left, though, if people get doxed, all it would end up is protests in front of someone's house. No one's going to get hurt because we're lefties and we're like not going to do anything.
I don't know. Yeah, it's like, it's not like we ever get anything done. But
I would say that, when people's kids aren't talking to them because of like politics or whatever, it's like, that like there are kids who have parents that are like drug addicts who have stolen from them, who have lied to them, who have done all of these things. And there is so much sympathy, like from the kids really want to have a relationship with their parent. It is incredibly hard to cut your parents off. Yeah. To be like, it's like a huge thing that people go through to finally be like, I just can't deal with this anymore. People deal with it for decades and decades and are finally like, I just can't. So if you talking about politics has made your children not want to talk to you, yikes, bro. Like, really, yikes.
Yeah, that's a yikes from me, pal.
That's pretty hardcore.
It's a big yikes from me, pal.
You're pooping the bed?
Yikes.
Yiker doodle dandy.
I gotta give that a big yikes. I mean, I don't know. It's probably like, your politics has tangentially something to do with it because it's just reflective of who you are,
beliefs.
like how you treat people that can determine like your politics. Like we talk all the time about how to
mental illness is when you're right
to be in certain, go down these certain ideological paths, you have to lack some sort of empathy, and some people that's what they want. I mean, Ben Shapiro says empathy is bad, kind of thing, literally he does. But I mean, if you're not egalitarian minded, you're hierarchical minded, like these deep-seated values, or just this lack of awareness or a lack of empathy that brought you there. So it's not just that you like Trump or something. That's not why your kids won't talk to you anymore. Empathy. But it's like the place that you're in that brought you to be like this Trump flag waving QAnon nut job or something, those things are what they just can't deal with anymore, is what they don't want to, your grandkids to see you anymore, that sort of thing. It's like, it's rough.
So Ben Shapiro says empathy is a bad thing. Yeah. So why does he care about children?
He just thinks that empathy should have nothing to do with like how you form policy, rule
so
of law. So
what should it be based off of?
Facts and logic, of course.
But what does that even...
Oh, it doesn't mean anything. You do know he's a moron that talks
Ben,
really fast. I mean...
It is like a fact that people are empathetic. Have you ever heard of human beings, like in like kind of our social
some people are
structures
just
and like primates
pathetic.
generally? And
hello?
Like, yeah, like it is true. It's like that, I mean, we're so incredibly connected that it's impossible to not have empathy, pretty much, unless you really guard yourself against it. Like you can really build up things against it, but it's a natural instinct. You see little kids, like, oh, like that's how we are. If you hurt yourself, little babies and like little kids be like, oh no, if you hurt yourself or if someone else does, like it's just such a natural instinct. I guess I don't know what guides a society forward is what? Like, I mean, and also, what really...
like legitimately, logic, it's not a rhetorical
there's like
question.
An entire fucking field of study, like sociology, that they do deal with facts. Like someone asked me one time, how is it a science? And I'm like, like the scientific process and all this kind of stuff, you can apply that to things that aren't just like, like numbers. Like you can gather data off of like people and like understand like... people too.
Yeah. People is
like
what it's all about.
Together.
It's like, but facts don't care about your feelings or empathy. It's like, well then what's I mean, talk about what separates us from the animals or something. What separates us from like ones and zeros? Like what's the purpose?
Yeah.
Like you have no sense of humanity. Like we're not here long, And I was just trying to quickly circle back to like our very first episode, but I couldn't remember
about the weather. No.
Yeah.
Nobody can see it, but your hair looks really good right now.
It looks so silly. It's so long.
No, it looks
I
awesome.
just flipped it back over with my headphones, so it was out of my forehead. But I couldn't remember which book it was because it wasn't in Wealth of Nations that I was reading from, but even Adam Smith talking about empathy and how ingrained it is in just humanity. Like, that's the number one armchair psychology thing is like, a psychopath or a sociopath is someone who lacks empathy for other people. Okay? And it's like,
like someone you wouldn't like.
Yeah, someone that no one likes and they don't care if you like them, Like
someone gets hit by a car and they die and Ben Shapiro's like, that's like, there's no feeling towards it. It's like, that's what empathy, like, that's what these rules are about. And like society's built so people can like be protected and safe because you know why? Because we give
because we want people to be safe. Like, Jesus Christ. Why do you think people cry when they watch a goddamn movie? Imagine what it's like when things are actually happening in the world. When people are dying in elementary schools, children, or, when you you're on your stupid right-wing Facebook thing and you're like, oh, because guy comes back home from Iraq and surprises his daughter, and like, oh my gosh, it's like, you don't fucking know that person. Empathy's important.
People literally give the shirts off their back, try to jump into rushing, raging rivers when they see someone drove off the road on accident. There's like all these examples.
I've done that so many times. Oh my God.
R/humans being bros, like it is what we do. We like help people. Like we can't help but care about other people. We literally, I don't know how many times I have to say it. It's like we literally go insane. We lose our minds if we were in solitary confinement without other human beings.
You know what's disgusting? Yes. I was just trying to...
Your wiener.
Yeah. It stinks. It stinks. It stinks. No, it's just that there is this. It must be an actual, second edition volume from 1778. Second edition, published. First published in 1776. Adam Smith's An Inquiry into the Nature and Causes of the Wealth of Nations. Okay, no, this one's 1778. It's not that old. 1778, people. All right?
All right, yeah.
So you can get this copy here on this website from WhitmoreRareBooks.com. It's only $39,500.
Oh, that's
Who
it?
the fuck
Should we buy it with the...
is that for? Is this information worth discussing, or is it like paper wrapped in a thing? Like, is it a book, or is it paper that's bound between leather covers? Like, what is it? What is it? At this point, it's just disgusting to see that. Like, it's just the whole, speculative collectible markets and stuff. It's just another one of those things where you don't need to step very far back. It's something that normal people take for granted, I feel like, because,
everyone is stupid except...
But like, the normies are like, you got Pokemon cards and now they're worth a lot. It's like, no, just the whole, rare speculations and collector's items and stuff like that. It's just gross. It's like, why?
It's really weird to put a value on those kinds of things like that.
Like, just because it's an old one, it's like, but isn't it the book that's important? Like, why do you have to have that one? It's just a strange thing. And honestly, I can understand it. Like, you want to have a rare object. There's like something to it where you want something rare, but then once it's in the capitalist free market where something rare is something expensive, and you take that step back, like, you take mushrooms one day or something, you're like, well, this is really weird. How absurd is that?
That's really weird.
Yes. It just drives me crazy. Although,
and I feel like rare stuff should be in museums. Like, if it's something that's really like it should be, if it's like
I understand
one of a thing, it's like
one of a kind or unadulterated
and like cool. Yeah, it's like interesting to like keep it there as like like time capsule type of stuff where it's like it doesn't really need to be passed around or whatever. It's like something that's like very important. It should be for like everybody. Yeah, and instead
it's
like
for
some
one
art
person
and all this crap.
Because it's $40,000.
One person. Because they have all this money, like some like really cool pieces of art that just people just don't get to see them because the art market.
How the hell are you?
Like, people just people just buy those as a way to like have their money still, and then just have it like in storage and like not do anything with it, and all of that. Anything like art that's creative, and then to have the price tag on it, and for it to just be for one person to have it, just feels like so not art. It's like not the purpose of these things being created, is what I think. But
it reminded me of R.M. Brown the other day talking about how, hooray, the NFT market has completely bottomed out and crashed. Did you hear that? It's like 95% of all NFTs are at zero. Which, I mean, for so many people, are like, I told you so. Everyone told you so.
There's a picture of a monkey.
What are you thinking? Yeah. But because it was purely just a financial instrument. It's so ridiculous. I feel bad for artists that got wrapped into it, and I hope that a lot of them got to cut and run and just make a few bucks and keep making art. But but for traders of NFTs, it's like, what an idiotic thing. Because, like R.M. Brown said, maybe if it's, the first thing that came to mind for me was like Beanie Babies, or just the difference between someone getting like, hey, this could be worth something someday. It's like you do that with an NFT, and if it turns out it's not worth anything someday, you still have a Beanie Baby. If you do it with an NFT, you have nothing. You have a digital file. with a little
You
with a
have
unique
less than
code
you had
to it.
before,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
You could just chuck it in a fire and the world would keep on turning, you know? But it's like
yeah, except for you can't because it's
yeah.
digital.
Oh,
yeah.
he said baseball cards. You know, that's
Oh.
one thing. And it's like, yeah, you still
baseball cards,
have
yeah.
base. He's like, if the value of baseball cards all plummeted to zero, it's not like people would just give up on them. It would be the opposite. People would be like, oh my God, I can finally have a Mickey Mantle rookie card because you can just go get one for $1 or something, you know, and I can have one and look at it or show it to my friends and trade things back and forth. Or like, yeah, if you had a bunch of Beanie Babies or something, it's like, well, I have Beanie Babies. They're cute. I don't care, you know.
Yay.
Then
Yeah,
they're
I can put 'em
gifts,
on
or
display.
my dog can play with one. I don't care, you know. It's like NFTs or just these wildly inflated pieces of art where you can't place a value on it, so it only becomes like this financial instrument and investment vehicle. It's disgusting.
Ugh. It's not art.
No,
Yeah.
it's just uncut, hollow capitalistic money
Capitalist.
creation. It's so gross.
Oh,
That's not what I wanted.
stop.
There. Yeah. Any of you that are doing that?
Stop.
You know why?
You're fucking annoying me.
That's why.
Exactly. Well, we're almost out of time here, but I did want to leave on a good note
Yeah, okay.
about.
Yeah, let's not talk about
I think I
Whitmore rare books.
I might have
Let's dox them.
mentioned it earlier. Yeah, about like when we're talking about gun violence, about Joe Biden creating the White House Office of Gun Violence Prevention. You know, that's
GVP.
I don't know if you heard that. It's a brand new office within the White House. And Amnesty put out a press release that they're applauding the administration for doing this because we specifically called for the creation of such an office in 2018. So this is like the response that we've been wanting, and it shows that, they're actually going to maybe do something about it. You know, they already said earlier this year, like focusing on gun violence and then creating this office. So then, you know, like maybe something will get done. It's like, it says here, this is Amnesty's statement. This isn't just about guns, it's about our rights, our human rights as people living in the United States. We all have the right to go to school, to worship, to go to the movies, to attend a concert, to go to the grocery store, to hang out on our front stoop or in a park without the fear of gun violence. The president has backed his words with action today. It is a moral imperative that Congress responds in kind with action of their own and pass important legislation like the Assault Weapons Ban and the Break the Cycle of Violence Act. The Assault Weapons Ban, we helped to do that here in Washington State. There is a ban on the sale of assault weapons now. We work in all 50 states like that, trying to get that at a federal level too. But and the Break the Cycle of Violence Act is what I often talk about, which would just get the 48 cities most affected by gun violence 8 years of federal funding to be put into community-based violence prevention programs, like after-school programs, job skills training, gun safety training, and it's just so many more resources for like mental health
Is
and
it
social
pretty
workers.
constrained to things, or are they just going to spend money on what they want?
It's going to like programs that already exist, like in cities that need funding. It's actually, we helped to write the bill. It's sponsored by Cory Booker, who, gun violence has been like, Bory Cooker. Gun violence has been like his platform for like his entire political career.
Son of a bitch. Dated Rosario Dawson. Who does that?
I think he's pretty decent. Like he seems to care, but I think
for sure.
that this does mean something that now, but also the White House has an Office of Gun Violence Prevention.
Yeah.
So that's in America, that's what's needed, and this is a step towards getting something done. So that is good that we're actually like legitimately
see if the federal
taking,
government
like,
can press anything across the board, state to state. Because it's like, it's
That's
so
what we're
strange,
doing.
our patchwork of gun laws and stuff like that, where it's like, I don't even know. You know, what would it take? Like, how, I don't know. Because people should be able to have guns, like, in general.
Sure.
They can't, it's not going to go to zero. You know, I don't believe in a
call for,
authoritarian,
like, a ban of all weapons, but
sort of thing like that. But it's like, but there has to be, like common sense in the actual way that it should be. not common sense as a as an excuse to not do anything. But it's
Other
funny.
countries have guns, and they don't have mass shootings like we do. Their number one cause of death for kids, not gun violence, in places that have a bunch of guns.
Yeah.
So, we could do it differently.
Germany,
people can still feel safe. People can still
Sweden
own
and
guns.
stuff,
Switzerland,
Switzerland, that's the
like
big
all
one,
these.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
places have guns and they don't have gun violence.
I know
like
it's
we
over
do.
an hour,
So.
but I can't believe I didn't bring up, and I thought of it so many times because you were talking about guns or defending yourself and stuff, about the viral video over the past few days of that guy who shot the YouTube public pranker guy. And it's like,
oh my God.
And it's, but of course, the discourse in my corner of the internet is a lot of people that I follow or this and that saying, you people are disgusting. And it's like, I get, like, we're all kind of jaded to gun violence, okay? And we can joke about this. The guy didn't die, okay? But, this complete douche nozzle YouTuber guy that harasses people in public, one of those public pranks, pieces of shit, harassing some dude, some delivery driver, trying to walk through a mall, and keeps putting the phone in his face, and he's like, no, leave me alone. Ugh. And, he doesn't give him much time. None of this is warranted, but he just pulls out a gun and shoots him in the middle of the mall. See, and then you're not supposed to laugh about it because they're like, that's disgusting. How are people even joking about this? It's like, come on, but he's a YouTuber. He's not a real person. Like, geez.
And because laughter is not always because it's funny. It's because
wild.
It's absurd and crazy.
Exactly.
It is like, seriously, like, what the fuck?
And at the same time, though, see, I was going through in my head what we were talking about earlier, this unfortunate sense of an arms race where it's like, what do you want this guy to do? Legitimately. And they're like, well, you should
punch that guy in the face.
Yeah, well, exactly. So it's like, well, the one time, someone said, it was like, well, you can do anything. You just scream really loud, make a scene. He's in public. I was like, see, thank you, because I didn't even think about that. But it's like, if you have a gun, if you have a hammer, everything looks like a nail. But people saying, well, there's non-lethal ways, or if he just had pepper spray on him. Well, he didn't have pepper spray on him. And there was a guy much bigger than him with friends that are probably bigger than him too, that are filming him, and they're following him around and harassing him. Like, if I'm in that situation or something, I don't know what goes through my head, because number one on my mind is never to call the cops on someone. It just doesn't come to mind.
100%.
If you decide to fight someone off in public, it's like you're risking getting the shit beaten out of you, or like it's still
they could have a gun.
Yeah, or they have a gun, or you're still just enacting violence on this person. Like the gun is where everyone's drawing the line, and it's like, yeah, because guns are made to maim and kill. It's like, my best friend died after getting punched in the face. It's all violence.
It's true.
All right. But it was just really interesting, especially
also,
because of,
how bad?
Because of the tens of thousands of people saying, well, the guy who shot him was immediately acquitted by a jury of his peers, but he's, and it wasn't on like self-defense. I forget how it works. He still has another court date because of course he got picked up because he set off a firearm in a shopping mall. But,
sure, of course. Obviously, that's not an appropriate.
Yes.
Shooting a gun in public, no. But also, like, legit, like, get the fuck out of my face.
And it's like when people are like, well, maybe he shouldn't be putting a phone in his face and harassing him. And they're like, oh, now you're just victim blaming. Maybe she shouldn't have worn that short skirt. It's like, it's not even close.
My God. That is not even close.
He
that
is
so
harassing the guy.
Incredibly insulting to any rape victim. Shut the fuck up, anyone that uses that.
Oh, so-called leftists. It's like, you want to be the so-called defender of whatever the victim might be. And because this person was shot with a gun, they are the victim. So you feel the need to make sure that, I don't know, that they are the ones defended.
Some people put themselves
I don't know.
in the position for that to happen, though. Women wearing short skirts are not doing anything. Women running around topless are not doing anything to anyone else. This person is literally in your space. Like the way that they could have avoided getting shot is by like not doing that. Like not doing
sounds like you're victim
that
blaming.
exact action.
I don't know.
Going up into someone's face.
Oh,
be like,
what you're saying, maybe the Jews just shouldn't have been running so many banks. That's what you're saying. They were back to this.
Yeah.
You know, if it wasn't for the Jews, the
God,
Holocaust
yeah.
wouldn't have happened, is what Natalie says. No.
Yeah.
But anyway,
the Jews,
I
the
just had
Nazis
to
wouldn't
tack that on
exist.
because like, oh my God, that's right. I've been seeing this all over Twitter. You might
so
see it
incredibly
somewhere.
embarrassing to be a YouTuber like that.
Ugh.
Like legit.
Ugh.
Like get out of public. Like nobody. Oh my God, that is yeah. And like
And
again, that's another case where
it's
it's not
even
like
funnier because it's like literally just kind of big meathead, backwards fitted cap, white guy, YouTube public pranker, literally harassing a guy who looks like Travis Bickle. Like he looks like he's a little off. He looks like he works too hard at his crappy job and he might have a gun pop out of his sleeve. You know, it's like, don't do that. Sorry. But leave him
just
alone.
such a douchebag. Like yeah, I just feel yeah. And again, another situation where it's like, all right, so this guy has to what? Has to just fucking deal with it, call the cops and escalate a situation, or what? Like punch someone, like you said, you know what? Violence is violence. People do die from fist fights.
Or it's like, or
you
what?
know?
Punch
Like,
someone
it
and
definitely
hurt
does happen.
yourself, even if you don't get beat up. Punching someone sucks, man. Come on. Like what? He's just trying to get to his delivery. He didn't. Matt Walsh. Oh my God. You don't want to know what he said. We got to end on a better note than that. But he talked about it too.
Yeah, speaking of gun violence prevention, just oh God, like being a douchebag like that, I'm like, I mean, you don't deserve to die, but you definitely deserve to learn a lesson.
Yes, you deserve
somehow.
to not keep doing that in public to people. Okay? That's what you deserve.
So stop it, bro.
Yeah.
And you should, you know what? Sure, you shouldn't get, shot,
Yeah.
but you should get punched in the face for that. I think that should be the penalty
Yeah.
if you're in someone's face. Like, that's completely reasonable to legitimately become violent yourself, because what the fuck else are you supposed to do? Like, you're just supposed to stand there and take it when someone is just like harassing you. You're just like have to take it because so they just get to do whatever they
It's
want
the paradox
to, and you
of
have
tolerance.
no recourse whatsoever.
Yeah, just on
so
like
it's
a micro
you can't-
level.
So you have to scream and make yourself look like an insane person, so then like the security guards can come up to probably you and get you in trouble.
What? So that you get that
yeah.
YouTuber definitely gets some more viralness out of their video where you look like a psycho. You're being filmed.
Yeah. Yeah, so who's the victim? Who's being put in the position to be a victim in this situation? This guy came up to you. The delivery guy is the victim because that other guy came up to him. You see, that's what happened. That's what makes the person the victim, is they're minding their own fucking business and someone gets up in their space. That's the victim, where they have to defend themselves. Like all these women who are raped, you know, like you want to make these correlations. It's like they're not doing anything. Someone comes over to them. This guy who was just doing his job, someone came over to him. This could have all been avoided if that guy...
It's like, all right, just like all those Nazi guys on the front line, all those victims, all those victims of communism that died in World War II.
Yeah.
Okay. No, it was just...
That's a fucking stupid ass story. I mean,
no, it's a funny way to end a talk on gun violence, because that just happened. You can, and
That
it's
is
at least it's so quick and stuff that it's like, I mean, it was all over Twitter. There's no blood. It's just like, oh my God, he shot him. It's like, and at the same time, it's like, yeah, it's fine. There's no blood. Nothing falls off. It's like, no, this is America. So it's like, you just watched someone get shot in a shopping mall and thought it was funny.
That'd be so fucking scary if I was in that mall and a gun went off.
That was the reasonable thing for me, is not arguing for this YouTuber's victim status, but the people saying like, this country sucks so bad. Like, it's like, okay, let's look at systemic problems here.
I want to leave our listeners thinking about, what does 400 million guns look like? That's how many, like, there are like approximately 400.
Like.
Yeah, 400 million guns in
call
America,
it
more guns
Gun
than people.
Mountain. Ever wondered what 400 million guns looked like? This.
Yeah, we're really protecting ourselves from this government with our guns. Man, this is making our lives so much easier having all these guns. The government won't do anything to us now as we all live paycheck to paycheck and people can barely scrape by and everyone's becoming unhoused and we all just fucking hate our lives. Yeah, good thing I got a gun.
So I can control alt delete early from my life.
Yeah, right?
I'm in control, I swear.
Yeah. All right, 400 million guns. You know what? You know what the government has? You know what the military has? If they want to...
Nothing, Natalie. They're giving it all to Ukraine. You hear?
Yeah, shoot your way out of a nuclear bomb being dropped, bro.
So are you on Tim Pool's side, then, that we should be able to have nuclear bombs as civilians?
No. I obviously am not. I'm like, we could tone it down on the guns, and maybe if we had a little bit more trust in our government officials, we probably wouldn't feel like we wanted to have a gun so we could shoot them if they ever came around, you know? If we like actually thought that they were looking out for us, maybe we would be like feeling safer and like feeling like our lives were better and not like feeling every time we walk out on the street we're gonna get shot.
Yeah.
You know? Like maybe that would help, but
just don't think about it.
I don't know. Maybe
just don't think about it.
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah. That's what people tell me at the door all the time. I don't want to talk about this. I'm not really into politics. I'm like, this isn't politics.
This is politics. Everything's politics.
This is a crisis.
This is like a health crisis.
Like a public safety crisis or public health crisis.
Why,
gun
yeah,
violence.
it's like a health thing. That's why when someone asks me...
You're pooping the bed?
I just answer with... Okay. So,
on that note,
I love you. It's a long one.
I love you. Shout out to
Wendy. I just saw her right before recording.
Yeah. And Zach and Zach's partner Elizabeth, who was listening to us. Thank you so much. A new listener, so hopefully you shouldn't mind getting shouted out. Yeah. But thanks for all of you guys. Kelsey, all you guys, babes. Love you so much. And you too, Doug.
Oh, thanks. All right. Okay, bye.
Yeah. Okay, love you. Bye.
Shout out Aaron Brown, our Lord and Savior. Love you, bye.